الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We reach Hathar number 63. The author rahimahullah says, or his student, his disciple says, حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا جرير عن الأعمش قال كنت أسمع الحديث فأذكره لإبراهيم فإما أن يحدثني به أو يزيدني فيه. Athar number 63 with a similar isnad that has happened or come several times in the book. The author from Jarir, from Amash, who said, Kuntu asma al-hadith, I used to hear a hadith, study it, learn it, memorize it, and then I would mention it to Ibrahim, meaning Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, rahimahullah. And Ibrahim al-Nakha'i would do one or two things. Either he would mention it, exactly what I had memorized, or he would give me something extra. He would either give me the exact narration or another narration or additional narrations, etc. The fa'idah of this athar and how it pertains to our book and this culture of seeking ilm is the virtue of Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, rahimahullah. And it goes to show you how diligent and earnest the student of hadith should be and how sharp the talib al-hadith should be. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا جرير عن الأعمش عن مسعود بن مالك قال لي علي بن الحسين تستطيع أن تجمع بيني وبين سعيد بن جبير قلت وما حاجتك إليه قال أشياء أريد أن أسأله عنها إن الناس يأبوننا بما ليس عندنا. Athar number 64, Abu Khaythama reports from Jarir from A'mash, who said that Mas'ud ibn Malik said, one day Ali ibn al-Husayn said to me, تستطيع أن تجمع بيني وبين سعيد بن جبير. Can you join me? Can you bring me together? Can you hook me up with Sa'id ibn Jubair? I asked him, what do you need from him? He said, there are things that I want to ask him about. And that's because the people praise us and they laud us. They say things about us that we actually don't know or things that we actually don't have. I.e., Ali ibn al-Husayn radiyallahu anhum jami'an, he asked for someone who was more knowledgeable than him, maybe not as virtuous as him with regards to his background, Ahlul Bayt, but he had more ilm than he did, and the people held him in such high regard because of his virtue and his background and the concept of Ahlul Bayt. But there was someone who was Sa'id ibn Jubair who had more knowledge than him, who had more fiqh than him, and he wasn't too prideful, he wasn't conceited and stuck up, he wasn't too noble to ask someone who was not as noble as he about something that he knew. This is a tremendous athar, and it goes to show us or give us an example of the attitude and the mindset of the Salaf radiyallahu anhum, and how when it came to ilm and hadith and fiqh and tafsir, it wasn't an issue of blood. It was never an issue of lineage or genealogy. It was only an issue of talent and skill. Talent and skill. What Allah had given a person, what a person had obtained through Allah's blessings and knowledge. That's all that mattered to them. What you looked like when you came from, who was your father or your daddy, they didn't mean too much to them with regards to actual knowledge. And this is a behavior that many ulama, alhamdulillah, have upheld for many years. And it's also a behavior that some and many, if not most, have neglected and abandoned for many years. And the moment knowledge is attached to race and color and gender and age and genealogy and the aristocrat, then of course there are going to be problems. Problems must ensue. So look at someone who was from Ahlul Bayt versus someone, Sa'id ibn Jubair, who was a Mawla. He was once a slave. His father or grandfather or someone from his family was once a captive, was once someone born or captured or brought up into or brought into slavery one way or another. And Sa'id ibn Jubair rahimahullah is well known. He was of African ancestry. He was black. He was of African ancestry. Okay, so to many Arabs, first and foremost, him not being Arab. That's his first strike. And then worse than that is you coming from the lineage of a slave. And many people, as we've explained before, they misunderstand the concept of slavery. They misunderstand it, and they read bad books, and they listen to bad lectures about it, and they get a misconception about it. It's not just about color. It's not just about because you're black and I'm white. No, but it's about status. It's about caste. And a person could be noble coming from Africa, and a person could be a slave or a peasant coming from Europe. It's not just about race and color. Okay, so al-muhim, those from among the Arab, and of course we know that was widespread and is still to this day, who didn't like black people and looked down upon black people and African ancestry. That was the first problem with Sa'id ibn Jubair. And secondly, atop of all of that, he wasn't a king, he wasn't a prince, he wasn't the son of a warrior, he was a descendant of a slave. But Ali ibn al-Hussein, that didn't stop him from asking him knowledge and acknowledging his virtue, his fadl. So this manifests al-insaf, being fair and being just, and acknowledging the virtue that a person has over you, even if they're younger than you, or if it's a girl, or someone who isn't from your background, or they're not Somali, or they're not from the Middle East, or whatever the case may be. This is how the Salaf behaved with each other, and it goes to show you once more the superiority of ilm. As the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. Some people will be lifted up and elevated with the Quran, and others will be lowered with the Quran. خيرا إن شاء الله. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا جرير عن ليث عن مجاهد عن عمر أنها عن المكايلة يعني المقايسة. Athar number 65 is reported from Abu Khaythama, from Jarir, from Layth, who is Ibn Abi Sulaym, from Mujahid ibn Jabr, who said that Umar radiallahu anhu forbade the people from al-muqayasa, meaning al-qiyas. He forbade the people from making qiyas. As we've stated before, these athar, not all of them are authentic with regards to the isnad, but it's not a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, something being attributed to Umar, of course, is going to be the circle is going to be adyaq. تكون الدائرة أضيق is going to be tighter now, because Umar is a companion. Umar is Khalifa Rashid. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu is going to be someone who, according to many ulama, his fatwa and his hukum, his qada, is going to be sunnah, according to many ulama, and it's going to له يعني شيء من الحجية. It's going to have legal authority. So narrating something from him that he allowed or commanded or forbade is going to be more serious than this companion or this tabi'i, so on and so forth. Okay, so FYI, the isnad is weak because of Layth ibn Abi Sulaym. That's first and foremost. And secondly, what's meant by this athar, that Umar radiallahu anhu forbade muqayasa, he forbade qiyas. يعني what's meant by that, al-qiyas al-fasid. Al-qiyas al-fasid. Al-qiyas الفاسد يعني القياس الذي يصادم النص the قياس which goes against the text, which clashes with the text. أو نقول الاستكثار من القياس استكثارا يعني لا ينبغي. Okay, going into qiyas too much and using qiyas too much and abusing it and not making the i'timad al-athar depending upon the narrations. So al-qiyas, as we've explained what it is to take something that is not mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah specifically, and to give it the same ruling of something that has been mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah specifically, because of a wisdom that is shared, a wisdom that links and joins them both. The hikmah behind this is the same hikmah behind that. So in the Quran and the Sunnah, we have the concept of a man wiping over his turban. But we don't have in the Quran and the Sunnah the direct proof. Was general umumat, istinbatat, things like this, but the specific hadith about a woman wiping over her khimar. Alright? Okay, so we say, as an example, that a woman can wipe over her khimar because of the same wisdom and the same reason of a man wiping over his turban. And that is mashaqqatun nazr, is the hardship of taking it off, and the ease of wiping over it, uncovering outside, etc. etc. Okay, even though there are some hadiths in which the Prophet أمرهم بأن يمسحوا, he commanded على يعني على التساخين. طيب, something that keeps your head warm, but it's not a specific hadith about a khimar, a woman's khimar. All right, and the same applies to talking about modern day drugs and narcotics that haven't been mentioned specifically in Quran and Sunnah. Okay, because the wisdom is the same: intoxication and corruption. Al-qiyas. So the correct qiyas versus incorrect qiyas, and abusing the qiyas versus depending upon the nusus, things like this. Or نقول استعمال المقايسة من ليس يعني من ليس أهلا لذلك, as using qiyas, using the system for someone who isn't qualified for it. That's what's meant by that. And Umar radiallahu anhu was the direct disciple of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and he would never reject and forbid for qiyas mutlaqan, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught the companions about qiyas and its importance and its virtue, manifesting the flexibility and the timelessness of the Sharia. Khayran. We're not here to discuss this in detail, usul al-fiqh, and the whole entire discussion of al-qiyas. Moving forward. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا جرير عن الأعمش عن الحسن قال إن لنا كتبا نتعاهدها. The next أثر 66 goes back to Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah. He said, إن لنا كتبا, we have books, we have scrolls, we have notes, نتعاهدها, that we always review and we go over. We review and we go over. This أثر, al-maqsood bihi, what's meant by it is the concept of writing down ilm, and we've explained that already in the book, and that is permissible to write down ilm, and that is from the way of the Salaf to write down ilm, and that if Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ala jalalati qadarihi, despite how virtuous he was and how amazing he was as a scholar, he wrote down things and reviewed them, then what do you think? فَمَا ظَنُّكَ بِنَا نَحْنُ, what do you think about us? How much do we need to write down, and how much do we need to depend upon a book? Wallahu alam. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا جرير عن منصور عن أبي الضحى عن مسروق قال كنا عند عبد الله جلوسا وهو مضطجع بيننا نراه فأتاه رجل فقال يا أبا عبد الرحمن إن قاصا عند أبواب كندة يزعم أن آية الدخان تجي فتأخذ بأنفاس الكفار ويأخذ المؤمنين منه كهيئة الزكام. فقال عبد الله وجلس وهو غضبان يا أيها الناس اتقوا الله فمن علم منكم شيئا فلينقل بما يعلم ومن لا يعلم فليقل الله أعلم فإنه أعلم لأحدكم أن يقول لما لا يعلم الله أعلم فإن الله تعالى قال لنبيه عليه السلام قل ما أسألكم عليه من أجر وما أنا من المتكلفين. Athar 65, Athar 67 goes back to Masruq ibn al-Ajda' rahimahullah, who says one day we were sitting in front of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. We saw him, he was lying upon the ground, laying down, and a man came to him saying, "Oh, Abu Abdurrahman, there's a storyteller." He says here, عند أبواب كندة, at the gate of Kenda, and he's claiming something with regards to the Quran, Ayat al-Dukhan, okay, with regards to this surah, and this the tafsir of this surah, right, summarizing the athar, and what we'll do and some of the phenomena that would take place with regards to the souls of the believers versus the souls of the disbelievers, etc. So Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he got up, he sat up, and he became angry, and he said, "O people, fear Allah. Whoever knows something, then he should spread what he knows. And whoever doesn't know, then he should say Allah knows. And that's because Allah Azza wa Jalla فَنُعَلَمُ لِأَحَدِكُمْ أَنْ يَقُولُ لِمَا لَا يَعْلَمُ اللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ." He says it's best, it's more thorough for you to say about something that you don't know, Allah knows. And don't try to know the thing on the spot without actually studying it. Don't try to put yourself in a situation which you force yourself to come up with something and make up something. Don't freestyle. Okay, if you don't have nothing to base your freestyle off of. Don't make takalluf. Okay? Don't make takalluf. Just say you don't know. That is a higher level of knowledge, and that's more virtuous. Rather, that's obligatory for the alim to say you don't know. Okay? And that's because Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah, He said to His Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Qul, say, O Muhammad, Ma as'alukum alayhi min ajr. There's no reward that I ask for. I don't ask for nothing monetarily for me giving you the message of Islam. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُتَكَلِّفِينَ. Nor am I from those who make takalluf. I'm not from those who, break their necks and try too hard and coming up with something that they don't know. And what's meant by at-takalluf is not al-ijtihad. What's meant by at-takalluf is not you trying to come to a result and making mudarasa. You ask a question, so I don't know, Sheikh, and that's it. No. Use what you know. There is a hadith that you do know. You've heard this before. What's meant by this takalluf is you coming up with something that you don't have no basis for. Coming up with something that you don't have a basis for. So this is something that the talib al-ilm should be careful of, and he should beware of that. Alright? And we've mentioned the kalam of Sheikh Abdul Rahman Sa'di rahimahullah with regards to the excellence of saying Allahu A'lam when you don't know something. Athar number 68. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا إسحاق بن سليمان الرازي قال سمعت أبا جعفر يذكر عن الربيع من أنس أنه قال مكتوب في الكتاب الأول ابن آدم علم مجانا كما علمت مجانا. The next athar from Abu Khaythama from Ishaq ibn Sulaiman al-Razi, who says, I heard Abu Ja'far saying that Rabi' ibn Anas said, it is mentioned in the original scripture, the old scripture, the ancient gospel, quote unquote, al-Kitab al-Awwal, the older books, it is said, son of Adam, teach the people for free, just like you have been taught for free. Teach the people for free, just like you have been taught for free. This athar shows many things. First and foremost, it shows us how the Salaf would read and memorize and learn from the other scriptures. They would benefit from the other scriptures. And we know that many of the Salaf, not all of them, but many of them came from these origins. Some of them used to be Christians. Some of them used to be Jews. Okay? Perhaps some people who accepted Islam were Zoroastrians before in Iraq. Okay? In the lands of Persia. Perhaps they were descendants of Zoroastrians. Okay? Sabi'in and things like this. Now, many of them who weren't Jews and Christians, whether they were born Muslim or they used to be mushriks, whatever the case may be, they obviously there were battles and they were trading and there many cultures there were many mixing of many cultures, and they came across books. Just imagine if there's a battle and the city falls, everything in that city you're going to have access to. There are going to be captives of war. There's going to be gold and silver. There's going to be books. There's libraries and scrolls and scriptures. There are going to be scholars taken prisoner and captive. So there's going to be access to all types of knowledge and science of those people. Now, and from that, you're going to find their wisdoms and their rulings and the previous books and things like this. So this is how these Isra'iliyat, what they're called, these Israeli narrations and other types of narrations, كيف دخلت, how they enter the books of tafsir and the books of hadith. And it's very important for us always to blend and to merge knowledge of Islam with history, with geography. It's very important to understand how it became like this, how it got like this, how this person learned this, how this person passed on that. Hakada. Okay? So if you make an example, if me and you have a fight and I win the fight and I conquer your house, everything in your house is now going to be mine, and I have access to it, good or bad, right or wrong, halal or haram, it doesn't matter, but now it's my house. So all of the books you have in the basement and the attic, all of the old pictures, photos, kullu shay, I have access to. I have access to everything. Alright? So this is why you find these different athar being mentioned in the books of the ulama. Ibn Kathir, Tabari, Qurtubi, you find this because of the mixing of the Arabs with the non-Arabs, the Muslims with the non-Muslims, them being conquered, their lands being taken over, them entering Islam willingly, etc., etc. Khairan inshallah. And this goes to show us is that you shouldn't charge people to teach them. Teach them for free, just like you have been taught for free. And that knowledge has no price on it and has no cost on it. You can never ever charge or pay someone for teaching you ilm. طيب. النقطة الثالثة, point number 3, is the misconception that many people have. Unfortunately, scholars, talabatul ilm, du'at, they have this misconception with regards to a person charging for a knowledge and a person being compensated for knowledge, and a person being compensated for his time and his effort and his organization, what has been planned and prepared, and a person being required to be in a place and a time at with a specific date. There is a difference. Someone asking you a question and you saying, give me money. Can you explain this hadith? It says, no, pay me money. I won't speak unless you pay me. Versus, please come and travel 1,000 miles to this country or this city and speak about this and talk about this on this day, on this date, so on and so forth. And a person saying, well, I need to be compensated, and I have a family, and I need to know that you're going to cover my expenses and the traveling and the accommodations. I'm not just going to be staying in a brother's house and the sink is leaking and the window is cracked and there are cockroaches and mice on the floor. Okay? There's a huge difference between the two. A huge difference between the two. We want you to come and speak at our school on this day, at this date. And you want to talk about this for this long. We want you to come to a fundraiser and for this long. That's an obligation. That's ta'aqud. You're making a contract with someone to come and do a service. And that is why you're being paid and compensated. You're not being paid and compensated for actual ilm. Okay? Let alone the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Inna ahaqa ma akhadtum alayhi ajran Kitabullah. The Prophet ﷺ says, if there was anything that would deserve for you to take money for, it would be the book of Allah. If it was anything that you would get a reward for, it would be the Kitab of Allah. And this goes to show the virtue of the Quran. That's the most virtuous thing that you can teach someone. And those narrations about the Prophet ﷺ saying to the companion with regards to him getting a free bow and arrow by teaching the man, or the man taught him how to read, Ahl Sufa, qawsan min nar. The hadith is da'if jiddan, is inauthentic. Alright? So we've explained this in other videos and classes, the misconception that some people have. So a person teaching for free, no doubt about that, asl. Okay, a person working as an imam, as an orator, as a teacher, as an educator, that's a different story. So there's an apple and there is an orange and there is a fruit salad. There's an apple, there's an orange, and there's a fruit salad. Sometimes there's mix and sometimes there is no mixture. And they're separate. We don't nakhlit bayn al-masail khaltan. Okay, we don't recklessly and irresponsibly mix issues and jumble up issues. Okay, let alone the hypocrisy that many people have with these things. They'll bash someone for getting paid as an imam or speaker or taking an honorarium or getting a gift. Okay, but then their own sheikh, huwa nafsuhu, is an author. He writes books and he gets paid for those books. And those books cost money and they're sold in Medina. And it costs top dollar. Teaching and ilm, majanan. Alaysa, isn't writing a book min ta'lim al-ilm? Okay? How does the sheikh maintain 4 wives and 12 children and a huge home in this country and in this camp? Billahi alayk, by Allah, I'm asking you. Whether he asks for it or not, al-muhim, he gets it. And the only reason why they pay for him and take care of him and he makes the money is because huwa muta'allim. He's learned. He's a sheikh. He's an alim. So the hypocrisy and the double standard of so many people and the lands of the Muslims, a sheikh, he receives monetary compensation. That's fine. And the lands of the kuffar and the mushrikeen and the fusaq, the lands of the Jews and the Christians, the crosses and crucifixes, and the Muslims are weak and small and poor. A person receives compensation. They say, he's yata'akkal bil ilm. He's eating with knowledge in the Quran. He's upon the dunya. This is min alamat anhu qad inharafa. It's clearly proven he's left the straight path and left the way of the salaf, and he's a hizbi. And they bombard him with names. All right, it's nifaq. Ibda bi shaykhika awalan. Go back to your sheikh and start with him. Yeah, Sheikh, these books in the marketplace, why don't you give them out for free? وش هذا يعني? What's the nifaq of the people? And why is there so much self-hatred? You hate your own people so much, and you love other people so much, and you make so many excuses for another person that isn't from your people, and you hate your people so much with so much intensity. Yani, what is wrong? What has happened to the people? Yani Allah al-Musta'an. What has happened to us? Okay, so this is very serious for us to understand these things, let alone the fact that يعني على أحسن الأحوال, in the best case, this is أثر موقوف, if that. This is from the Salaf. It's not the Prophet saying this. So we have to be knowledgeable and learn it when we speak for or against a thing. And of course, there is greed in the dunya, and a person can sell his deen. There's no doubt about that. Allah says, woe to those who write the book with their hands, and they say it's from Allah, ليشتروا, and they want to buy يعني ثمنا قليلا, okay, a measly gain. All right, so there is a balance. Wallahu alam. Next question. حدثنا أبو خيثمة. Next أثر, not question, next أثر number 69. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا إسماعيل بن إبراهيم عن ليث عن مجاهد أنه قال ذهب العلماء فلم يبقى إلا المتكلمون وما المجتهد فيكم إلا كاللاعب في من كان قبلكم. Author number 69 is reported from Abu Khaythama, from Ismail ibn Ibrahim, from Layth, from Mujahid, who said, ذهب العلماء. The learned men, the scholars are gone. They've died. They've passed away. فَلَمْ يَبْقَ إِلَى الْمُتَكَلِّمُونَ. Nothing remains except for speakers. وَمَا الْمُجْتَهِدُ فِيكُمْ. And a mujtahid, someone who is an independent faqih. Listen to this athar. Someone who is a faqih mujtahid, he is independent. I don't have to follow no madhab. I follow the nusus, the text. From among you is only nothing but a joke. La'ib. He's a joker, as they say. A joker, yeah? He's playing games. With regards to those who came before him, in comparison to those who came before him. Now, Allahu Akbar, this athar is back-breaking for Ahlul Ghulu, the people of extremism, the zealots. It snaps their vertebrae. Okay, those who say that there is no scholar in the West, there are no scholars in the West, there can't be, there won't be, there's never been no scholars in the West. Okay, طيب. Why can't there be any scholars in the West? Fulan, this one, he's not old enough, he's not Arab, he didn't get tazkiyah from this sheikh, who called him this, who gave him this title. طيب, جزاkallah khairan, لا بأس. فماذا تصنعون بهذا الأثر? What are you going to do with this narration here? In which, in the time of the Salaf, Mujahid ibn Jabr, the Tabi'in, the disciple of Ibn Abbas, he is saying that there are no ulama. ذهب العلماء. They're gone. If the ulama are gone in the time of Mujahid, then what about in the time of Imam Ahmed, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, Bin Baz, Uthaymeen, Albani? According to this athar, none of them are scholars either. إلا المتكلمون, and you call them speakers. That's it, فقط. They say in the West was du'at. We have du'at, طلبة العلم, translators, nothing else. ذهب العلماء. There are no scholars left. And there's nothing left but speakers. And one who is mujtahid, listen, the elite from among you, not a faqih, the elite, a mujtahid, the elite from among you is nothing more than a child, a schoolboy, with regards to those who came before you. Okay, so this is a problem now. Now we know first and foremost the principles that we've laid down. This is not the kalam of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number one. Number two, it's not the kalam of the Sahaba. Number three, the athar is weak because of Layth ibn Abi Sulaym. وَإِن صَحَّ, and if it was authentic, then what would be meant by it is كذا, the virtue of the Sahaba and their ilm, and with regards to those who came after them, is like nothing. Okay? But the concept of those who say, this is weak, or it's not the Sahaba saying this, it's not the Prophet. Well, how many athar do you mention in your books and your lectures? The لم تصح إسناده يعني أسانيدها, and the isnads are weak. Wallahi, if we sat down and looked through this book of this one and this fulan, you'll find so many athar da'ifa, munqati'atul isnad. So don't play the game of being stringent with one thing and lax in another thing, as the madhabi people do. Number two, there's so many different athar of tabi'een, people who came after tabi'een, that they use before and above the Quran and the Sunnah. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. And they use them as if they're the Quran and the Sunnah. يُقَدِّسُونَهَا تَقْدِيسًا. They hold them to be holy, and you cannot go against them, and there's no tafsir or ta'wil or takhsis or taqyid of them mutlaqan. So the games that have been played, unfortunately they've been played. Okay? So the point is that when you want to talk about the athar of the Salaf, then you have to be careful, because there are many athar that will go against your entire agenda, that will break the back of your whole entire propaganda machine and what you're trying to promote. Okay? And we know that the weak people in knowledge and the cowardly people in knowledge and those who have no talab and they have no ability to have talab, they hide behind quote unquote the ulama. They hide behind them. And it's not about respecting the ulama. If they wanted to respect the ulama, they would respect all of the ulama and not some of them, the hand-picked. Okay? Let alone those who are greater than those whom they quote and fanatically cling to and attach themselves to. But what do the ulama have to do with what you're saying? And this speech that you're giving and what you're proving and what you're saying, and you preceding them. Okay? And then this goes on to the nifaq of the people, the hypocrisy of the people. They'll write this paper, they'll write that paper, but then they say we follow the ulama. Did the ulama say this? Did they refute this person? Did they make this hukum on this person? No, they didn't. Okay? And if you want to get technical, what do you do with this athar? ذهب العلماء. I said that none of them. And what's meant by this athar is that كل عصر بحسبه, كل قرن بحسبه. Every generation, it is according to the standard of that generation. And that compared to these people, there's nothing. So just think about this athar now. It's Mujahid saying this. Don't we realize that after this athar came Ibn Taymiyyah, came Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and they say ذهب العلماء. There's no one except for a speaker. So this goes to show you that he means something specific by this narration. Okay, so we have principles with regards to the Quran and the Sunnah, let alone the athar of the Salaf. And it's not the speech of the Prophet ﷺ, and even the speech of the Prophet ﷺ is understood in a light. It's understood with harmony in the other ahadith. Khairan, inshallah. And as we said before, you never know what Allah has in store for you. Allah tells us no soul knows what it will earn in the morrow, and you should seek knowledge and exert yourself, and you don't know what Allah could make you. Before Ibn Taymiyyah came, did the people think and expect there will be someone like him? Before Hafid ibn Hajar, did the people think there will be someone like Hafid ibn Hajar? And the same applies to the ulama of today. Before Ibn Uthaymeen, was there someone like Ibn Uthaymeen? Was there Bin Baz, someone like Bin Baz? And they came. They did what they did. They left their legacy. So you can't have the negative stigma of I can't be nothing. I won't be anything. I'll never turn into anything. The scholars are dead. The scholars are gone. The scholars are only in the Middle East. They're only in Saudi. I'm from the UK. I'm from this country. I can't be nothing. I can't do anything. If you take that attitude, then there would be nothing left. Okay, so that's not the proper way. Athar number 70. حدثنا أبو خيثمة قال حدثنا الوليد بن مسلم قال سمعت الأوزاعي قال سمعت بلال بن سعد يقول عالمكم جاهل وزاهدكم راغب وعابدكم مقصر والعياذ بالله. The last athar that we mentioned in this session, athar number 70, is very sad and very scary. Abu Khaythama narrates from Walid ibn Muslim, who says that I heard Al-Awza'i saying, I heard Bilal ibn Sa'd saying, Alimukum jahilun, your learned people are ignoramuses. Wazahidukum raghibun, and your people of zuhd, your ascetics, the people who are away from this dunya, they're greedy for this dunya. Wa'abidukum muqassirun, and your monks, your worshippers, they're poor at worship. Subhanallah, look at this athar. And look at when he said this athar. How many years ago? Over 1,000 years ago he said this. The one who has knowledge from among you doesn't have real knowledge. The one who has zuhd from among you really isn't upon zuhd. And the one who is practicing ibadah from among you is lazy and lethargic. He's not a true worshipper. La ilaha illallah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Let us reflect on these words. Those who claim to have knowledge, those who claim to practice zuhd, and those who claim to practice ibadah, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. May Allah protect us from this. Sallallahu sallam mubarak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.